responsibility of creating goodwill for government, corporate organizations, customers, employees, communities, shareholders, and suppliers. The functions of the public relations expert is a strategic task. A nation as diverse and dynamic as Nigeria, the relationship between the government and its citizens plays a pivotal role in steering the course of economic development. As such, the various channels and strategies that can be employed to foster robust engagement. NIPR ensures that the collective voice of the people resonates in shaping policies and initiatives aimed at propelling Nigeria towards sustained economic prosperity. With the renewed hope agenda of the present administration, exploring innovative avenues for stronger government and citizens' engagement in Nigeria, it would therefore not be out of place to discuss success stories and address challenges on the journey towards a more engaging and economically vibrant Nigeria, as the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations converge in Abuja for annual general meeting and conference. In a moment, we'll be joined by two professionals to gather through the field of public relations in Nigeria. I am Eukaria Clinton. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Nigeria Today. Joining us in the studio to discuss government and citizens' engagement through public relations is Professor Oke Ikechukwu. He's Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much.
Also in the studio is Mrs. Mercy Ilwemuno, MD, CEO, Mindpace Limited, Advertising, Public Relations and Management Consultants. Thanks for joining us, Nigeria Today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'll start with you because, as the saying goes, ladies first. Okay. So you're having a conference, the NIPR is having a conference in the FCT, and of course the AGN. So tell us all about this conference and what do we expect from this conference?
Okay. Thank you for having me once again. The NIPR has consistently been in the forefront of trying to position the essence of building goodwill in relationships, both in the private sector and in the public sector. And every year we have our annual conference, especially at the FCT chapter. We have our annual conference and we tend to pick topics that are germane to the reality of our nation, because we want to play up the necessity to build relationships. So for this year, we have chosen something we know is very important, and that is engaging the citizens. There's no nation that can develop without a buy-in of their citizens. No matter what the government at any level does, they cannot achieve that goal. So for this year, we have chosen the theme, reassessing citizens' engagement. Okay? And we are looking at how government can relate with their citizens. And it is important because if you do not get your citizens buy-in, no matter how much you do, it's either they will not appreciate it or they will not understand where you're coming from. So this year is aimed basically as trying at focusing on getting the citizens to engage, getting government to engage the citizens in their policies, their implementations, their plans, and all of that. So that is basically what we are trying to do for this conference.
Okay, Prof, we are still going to talk about the theme, reassessing government citizens' engagement in Nigeria for economic development. At this point of our life, our democratic life, where do you think we are with this, given this?
I think we are where we shouldn't be in the matter of citizens' engagement, government-citizen interface. Because, first of all, the concept of citizen engagement is not new. The concept of public relations is not also new. But the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations is probably the only institute that has an act of the National Assembly and is formally recognized as the body that regulates public relations in Nigeria. Last year, it set out on what it called a Citizens Summit. Now, it was an independent engagement with our government, very well structured. It began at the state level. From the state level, it moved to the regional. From the regional, there was the final one, and this took, I think probably, was it 9 months on the whole? Now, the degree of discipline, professional sense of responsibility and patriotism that will make individuals tax themselves, look for their friends and say, hey, come, we need to do this for our country. That's something to reckon with. And the result of that summit, the publication, is a historical document because of its value, because every sector was represented, women, challenged persons, different professions. And you ask yourself, who will organize an event and have more than 20 to 30 organizations decide to come and partner? And so that will tell you the credibility of, first, the individuals running the institute and the institute itself. Now, building up to this citizen engagement, your question is about reassessing. Now, if you're reassessing, there must have been a previous assessment. And because the institute has done progressive and repeated assessments over the years, we came to the conclusion that, yes, there has been citizen engagement, but there has been challenge with the approach. For one thing, when you say you're doing Operation Feed the Nation, you're doing ethical revolution under Shagari, you're doing war against indecent, it's a form of citizen engagement. But you find that the citizen is an observer. You finish what you want to do for him, and then you call this citizen and say, all right, you take this. Alien submission. Now, the NIPR has developed that template of building from the citizen to the national, and the national being forced to notice the citizen, and then those in positions of responsibility like ministers saying, wait a minute, this is it. And I engage. If you see in the conference, you notice that the Minister of Information is also a member of the Institute, a fellow. He's one of the discussants, of one of those to speak. Now, where do you see ministers coming to discuss? So it's a different disposition. The gentleman is himself. That's the good thing about him. He is the person that you always knew. And so he looked at it and said, no, this is the way to go. So reassessing that engagement is not for the purpose of theoretical conversation. It's in order to say, okay, this one you've done has worked. There are some we've done in the past that have worked under Noah and among others. Is there a way we can rejig, synchronize efforts, work together for a sustainable citizen engagement template going forward for the nation? So this is not an opportunity for people to come and speak English. The youth are fundamentally disconnected from the Nigerian state, and they are the bulk of our population. So when you're talking citizen engagement, you're asking yourself, how can we begin to draw the attention, commitment, and involvement of those who actually own Nigeria in the next 10, 15, 30 years? That's part of the expected outcome.
Okay, now, Mercy, Prof had highlighted a very important point where the citizens are more or less spectators or observers. They just get the information. They are informed. They are not they've not really been part of the engagement, talking about communication. So that brings me to the question, how important is communication in governance?
That's a very good question. And the answer actually is obvious. Communication is like air to success if you want to achieve the execution of your policies. If you do not communicate, and effectively too, you are not likely to achieve your goal or objectives. And when I say effective communication, because communication is a two-way traffic. You could be talking and nobody is listening. So that your language is wrong, your tone is wrong, your presentation is off. So you must communicate effectively. So it is important that for this government with the plans they have, the goodwill they have, they need to reach out to their citizens. And in reaching out, they must listen. Just like Prof has said, it's not enough to talk down to your citizens. Oh, we have looked at your situation, you need borehole, you need this and that. No, you need to speak with them. When I was growing up, way back in Delta State, I grew up in Warri. We used to have civic centers where they had, people go to play sports and all of that. And then you find that sometimes the local government will organize like a town hall meeting. You see the market women, different people from all walks of life, they come in, they will discuss, and with the total summary of their discussion, they go back and do some work. We need to do that more now. We need to listen to Nigerians more. Sometimes you sit in your office as a minister or as a director, and you think, I've looked at them, it looks like they need a market. But if you ask the market woman whom you are trying to serve, that might be the least of his or her problem. Possibly what they want is decent road networks to move those goods from the farms to where they can get them cheaper so that their turnover could be higher. So we need to engage the citizens more, communicate better. Just this morning I was thinking, when we were growing up, we had, you say, news in translation. NTA used to do that a lot. You have news in translation, Igbo, Yoruba. In Warri then you have Shekiri, you have Ijo. They used to have all of that. Because you wanted to reach the people that matter. We need to do that more. Communicate in the language people will understand. It's not enough to communicate. Sometimes you hear some issues, you say, government, we published it, it was in the newspaper. How many Nigerians really buy and read the newspaper? So if you want to communicate effectively, speak in the language they will understand. Use the channels that is available to them. The tone of voice. You have to use the basic elements of communication to reach the targets. And sometimes people will I'm talking to the general public. No. If you want to be effective in your communication, you must target your communication. You must reach out to individuals, one by one, in their own language, in their own tone. So it is important that government begins to listen, communicate better, so that we can get where we want to be.
Okay, thank you very much, Mercy. Prof, when she was talking there, I just remembered sometimes when I hear politicians say, my people sent me, my people said I should. So I'll keep wondering, so if their people sent them, which means there was communication. Now I want to ask Prof, how can citizens adopt effective communication in making demands on their government and also influencing decision making?
Let's recalibrate and look at how communication had been done in the past, how it is done wherever it works, and how we can make it better. She mentioned news in translation. When we were growing up, sometimes you see a Land Rover driving around, making an announcement, communicating federal government policies. That's why you have the Ministry of Information with the minister sitting on top, sending out RIOs, who are called press secretaries to all the ministries, and then having offices all over the Federation. Only the Ministry of Information is structured like that, because it's the chain that will transmit communication to the grassroots, and that's where feedback will come from. So briefing, ordinarily you should go to the National Press Center and get what you want. So he sits on top of it and they're doing the job. But in this business of communication, there's a distinction between three components. Program announcement, we're about to start so and so. Information dissemination, you want people to know what to do during Harmattan. And then advocacy. Now, government communication over a long time degenerated until what is left is only information dissemination. And so that the structures for national information management became dysfunctional, And most of those who had served in that capacity, not being professionals, thought that was good enough. So to begin with, that's a challenge. Secondly, the reflexes of the Nigerian state at all levels, at the federal, at the state, at the local government, ward and council levels, are such that the people are not seen. You use the expression, my people sent me. It is on record that some people send themselves by buying out everybody. Not everybody did that, but if I rig elections, my expectation is that, okay, when I get in 4 years, there's no way I'll come back without being at least 20 billion naira richer. Now, that's my target for coming to Abuja. And you're pestering me with what had nothing to do with my aspiration. The people, which people? I already gave them 2,000 when they voted. So I paid them up front. Now, with 2,000 they collected, they gave me license to ruin their lives for 4 years. And I'm on the job. That's why I will come to Abuja and collect a what do you call it? Now, you know they've been given palliatives, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with any of them going, say, look, out of this 149 I got, I'm dropping 100 million. Then they're your people. So we're coming around to how communication can work. The people actually need to be educated by their leaders now for them to believe that they matter. So constituency offices have to become active. Tinubu is not going to come to my village to communicate with anybody. They don't know who he is. But they elected somebody. That person has to be the one who will go. Now, when you speak of communication at that level, it's not just calling everybody to town hall. If I'm going to the farm, why should I come to waste my time? That's 4 hours of serious, responsible farming wasted listening to somebody, after which I'll probably get pure water. So, what do I do? In every environment, there are power centers. Assuming I want to go to Kano now and talk to people of Kano, and I go there dressed like this, and I come them and I'm speaking English the way I'm speaking. I'm the one looking for trouble. I will not command any attention, but there are people respected in Kano. Assuming I come to a particular area, there's a respected imam or village head, and I say, Baba, I've come to tell these people about vaccination. He said, what is that? I say, there's this disease going around, you know. If there's an injection, if they give you, it won't affect you. But if you don't give you will fall sick, you won't go to famine, you won't go to poverty. He said, that's what I want to tell the people. He said, okay, if that man is sitting beside me, before I open my mouth, I've got 60 to 70% endorsement. They know him, they don't know me. So, but if I'm elected and I assume by that status, I transcend, if the titled men are holding meetings, I walk in, go and shake the traditional ruler. How did I acquire that status? Just because I won or rigged an election? So communication is for this to reverse, because there's integrity deficit. People who are good, who are doing well are suspect. Mercy is here, I'm here, you're here. If there's some confusion in town and 3 of us come out the way we are looking, you know we'll be attacked. You look healthy. So look, we are the ones who ate Nigeria's money. Can't you see how they are looking? That's the crisis of the Nigerian state today. So that those who came in the name of the people must go back to the people, must become believable. Then communication, the root is commune. Speaking is not communication. You can lie. When a leader is speaking or behaving in such a way that what really constitutes his person, that's when his spirit communes. That's what reassures, that's what brings believability. So to round it up on the essential point you want to draw out of this, the leaders have to learn to communicate. It's not by town hall meetings, which will be attended by people like me and you. We leave the town hall meeting and go back to our houses and say, oh, we've spoken to Nigerians. The people in the ICC, when you were speaking, are not Nigerians. We're an absolute minority. In the Southeast, they have town union presidents. There are traditional rulers all over the country. There are youth leaders and youth associations. There are faith-based organizations. Start talking to them. And I'm not speaking theory. I have done it 2 years down the line. I think with the current NIPR president, where the state, we went there to do a youth program. They said empowerment. We said no. To buy them things, give them wheelbarrow. They are not human beings. They need to learn social graces. So we had the first component, values orientation. before the skills acquisition. And it didn't just start. We started by going to every traditional ruler in the state, one by one, finished with them, went to market leaders, went to religious leaders, 4 months of consultation, unsolicited, just like this sort of thing NIPR did. It was when we finished that we then called a summit. That made, so all the details don't matter, but the time is that by the time we were done, we had gotten the live phone numbers of 5,131 youths from every ward. Now, if a politician says he's representing the people, he should go to where he is, identify the power centers. Youth leaders have membership, and there are different youth associations. There are women leaders. There are church youth groups. There are registered NGOs functioning. Get their details. Begin from there.
Oh, okay, Prof. I know if I leave you, I know you
I'll go on for the next 3 days.
Yes. Okay. Now, Mercy, having heard what Prof said, it is very, very clear that a lot of these politicians need PR experts to work with them, because a lot of them don't have a clue of what we are saying here. A lot of them are not professionals. So, you know, somehow to an extent you really blame them. So how important is it for such people to have professionals like you to handle their image, or so to say, or, you know, how they communicate? How important is it?
It is indeed very important. And you see, I admire leaders who understand that you cannot know everything. When you see leaders who humble themselves to appreciate that there is something in the other professional that they could tap from, they make success of their policies and their ambition. We've had that challenge for many years. Politicians come on board and they pick their relatives, their friends, to serve them as spokespersons, as press secretaries, and all of that. It's not a bad thing if you want to, you know, empower your relatives and all of that. However, if you want to really succeed, you must get the people who know their onions in public relations. Like we have established, public relations is about building goodwill. And if you are a professional, your client's reputation will be paramount. It's not about whether it's your uncle or... You want to let him understand the proper and professional things to do. So it is imperative that politicians engage public relations professionals to handle their offices. You could also have your, you know, family members, cohorts and all of that working along with you. But let a public relations practitioner work with you in your communication team.
Okay, I will stop you there, Mercy, I will allow Prof just round off, because we just have 30 seconds. So
really?
Yes.
What happened? You're using the fake watch.
So you were fast.
Okay, now on this,
no,
just...
Prof,
okay.
no, before you continue, now you have to tell us the conference that is about to take place, where it's going to take place. That's one of the things you tell us. Now, another thing I want to draw your attention to, you know, we are in the era of social media. A lot of information, disinformation, and misinformation been, you know, on the platforms. And as a matter of, it's so disheartening to know that some mediocres and quacks are leading the way, while professionals are relegated to the background. More disheartening is the fact that even some professionals go to these platforms to pick this information and they use it, you know, causing a lot of havoc. So how can this be addressed?
Well, the first thing, sorry, just backtracking from what she said. When you take an incompetent relation and give him or her a position, you're losing on two fronts. You're not getting any service of value. And then you're not releasing the person to go and acquire service of value. So if he carries your bag for 4 months or 2 years, he is where he was before he started. Then the question of there will always be quacks. And the efforts of the NIPR is pushing back the frontiers of quacks. So to go and take them on combatively, call them names, no. When you enter a quack hospital and come out with bruises all over your body, nobody will tell you the difference, not to go back there. So the NIPR is on course. It's not distracted by this thing. And you find that those who are calling for these things, what they understand PR to mean is go and lie for me. Go and what? No. Public relations has 3 critical pillars. First of all, the duty of, what do you call it? The duty of giving you a good reputation where there's a bad one, which means there's something you have to change for that to happen. Reinforcing a good reputation if you have one, or creating a reputation that's good and sustainable if there's none at all. That, none of this falls into what these people understand when they speak of, oh, let's go and do PR. In other words, let's go and tell a lie so that the people will keep quiet. No, not on this.
And your conference, where is it holding?
The conference is holding at Nikon Luxury Hotel, Area 11, and it's happening on Tuesday, that is tomorrow, starting by 10 a.m.
Thank you.
And we have very eminent speakers coming on board. He has already mentioned the Minister of Information.
Thank you very much.
No, don't accept the thanks. Let's continue.
And that's it on Nigeria Today. We want to thank our guest, Professor Oke Ikechukwu, the Executive Director, Development Specs Academy. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For coming.
We look forward to having you here tonight.
All right, thank you. And also we had on the studio Mrs. Mercy Ilue Muno, MD CEO, Mindpace Limited, Advertising, Public Relations and Management Consultants. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
And that's it on Nigeria Today. Thank you for being part of it. I am Victoria Clinton. Goodbye.